Hey, this is Jonathan from Roadable, and we're going over how to send quotes with Roadable. In the previous video, we prepared to send a quote by making sure we have a good company match here, and we also looked at the bulk actions buttons here that can be used for managing the lines on your quote. Now we're going to look at filling all of this out and sending the quote. So again, to send a quote in Roadable, we need to respond to an RFQ. So I'm going to back up to the dashboard, and then we'll start by going to the RFQ inbox. And I'll choose an RFQ that I want to quote, and I'll click in to open the response page. Now I'm going to go over some things specifically here, but first I just want to give the overall flow. To send a quote in Roadable, you want to fill out the lines with your price that you're quoting at and your lead time and any other information you want to provide. Then when you're done with that, you can just scroll to the bottom and click Quote. That's what will send the quote to the buyer. Okay, let's start filling this out. So first, you'll see that the buyer's email address was automatically populated by Roadable, so nothing to change there. But if you'd like anyone else to receive the quote email, you can also add other addresses in CC by clicking here. So I'll add myself and press enter. Now let's look at the line item on the request. By default, Roadable populates lines with exactly what was requested. We have the requested part number, the sale type, the requested condition, and the quantity requested. And then of course we have the unit price that we're going to quote at and the lead time, both of which we need to fill out. So I'll quote this line at say $900 and I'll set the lead time to 7 days. And by the way, I can change anything else on here for the quote that I'm providing. For example, I could quote it in a different condition if I wanted to, and so on. One thing to note with the part number here is that if you have any alternate part numbers in stock, you can click this down arrow to quickly switch between them. So I'll switch it. I'll switch back. Okay, so that's the main information that we will need to quote this line, but there's actually some more information we can add to it. On the right side of the line, you can click this down arrow here to open the advanced fields. These are optional, but you can provide this information if you'd like. Pretty standard for the aviation industry. We've got trace, tag, and so on. But I want to point out the attachments. This button here can be used to attach a document to this line item. There are two options. You can select a document right from your connected ERP system if you have one, or you can select one from the desktop computer that you're on. I'll select one from the ERP. This window that comes up will show all documents associated with this part number organized by stock line. So I'll select one. You can select as many as you'd like, by the way. And to attach it to the line, just click Update Attachments. And there you go. We can see by this icon that the file was attached to this line item. Now I want to be clear, this button in the advanced fields is used for attaching a document that applies to this specific line item. In my example here, I've only got one line item, but you will have requests with multiple line items on them in Roadable. If you want to instead attach a document that applies to the whole quote, to all the lines, we have another section here that can be used to attach documents. You've got the same two options, but again, if you attach documents using these buttons, it will apply to the overall quote and not be displayed on the individual line like this one. Similarly, we have a notes field for each line in the advanced fields. Here you can put a message that will display under the line item. We also have a customer notes field down here, and this is intended for a note that applies to the overall quote. And then we have internal notes as well. Internal notes are only shown within Roadable, and they are also logged in your ERP when Roadable inserts the quote, but they are never shown to the buyer. So let me just show you what this looks like really quick. Line item note, customer note, and internal note. And I'll just scroll up, and on the top right, I'll open the preview so we can take a look. And there you go. So the customer note, the overall note, is here at the top. The line item note is on the line item. And then the internal note is not shown on the quote that's sent to the buyer at all. That's internal only. So I'll turn that off. So that's it. I've filled out this line with the quote that I want to send to my prospective buyer. Now to send the quote, again, I'll just scroll down and click Quote. That will send the quote email to the buyer and it will return you to the RFQ inbox in Roadable. One more quick note, if you open an RFQ and decide that you don't want to quote it at all, you can also click No Quote here to have Roadable send a no quote on the entire request. So that's the basics of filling out the response form and sending a quote. In the next video, we'll look at some ways that Roadable can make this process faster for you. Thank you very much.